When a woman chooses another man over you, it can feel like a punch in the gut. Your ego gets bruised, your emotions flare up, and you start questioning yourself. What did I do wrong? Was I not enough? Could I have said or done something differently? That kind of thinking is normal, but it's also destructive because the truth is, rejection is not a reflection of your worth. Rejection is simply redirect. It's life's way of telling you this door isn't yours to walk through, but there's another one waiting, and it leads to something better. When someone removes themselves from your life, especially in matters of love, they are giving you the gift of clarity. Instead of wasting months or years trying to make something work that was never truly aligned, you've been handed the chance to grow, to learn, and to create space for the right person who will value you the way you deserve. Think about it like this. If she chooses another man, she's actually doing you a favor. She's showing you that her heart isn't fully invested in you. And let's be honest, do you really want to be with someone who's not all in? Love should never be forced, begged for, or fought over. Real love is freely given. If she doesn't see your value, that doesn't mean you're not valuable. It just means she wasn't meant to recognize it. Another person will. And often the person who will see it is far better suited for you than the one who walked away. Too many men waste years chasing after someone who is already emotionally checked out, hoping that if they just try harder, if they just give more, if they just prove themselves, they can win her back. But that mindset comes from scarcity. It's the fear that maybe she was the best you could do, and if she leaves, you'll never find anyone else. That's a lie. Scarcity thinking is what keeps men stuck, needy, and powerless. Abundance thinking is what sets you free. When you truly believe that the world is full of opportunities, that amazing women are everywhere, and that you are worthy of being loved by someone who chooses you wholeheartedly, then rejection loses its sting. You no longer see it as the end of the world. You see it as a course correction. Imagine being on the wrong road. You think it's leading you to the destination you want, but halfway down, there's a sign that says road closed. At first, you're frustrated. You thought this was the way, but the sign is saving you time. It's stopping you from wasting more energy going nowhere. That's what rejection does. It redirects you off a dead-end path and onto the one that actually leads to where you belong. The pain you feel in the moment is temporary, but the freedom it gives you is permanent if you choose to see it that way. And here's something most men overlook. Her choosing another man is not a competition you lost. It's not about who's better looking, who has more money, or who said the right words. Attraction is subjective. What she sees in him might not even be real. It could be an illusion, a temporary spark, or even her own unresolved wounds drawing her towards something unhealthy. That's not your burden to carry. When you let her go, you're not losing, you're protecting yourself from being entangled in someone else's confusion. You're giving yourself the chance to connect with someone who won't hesitate when it comes to you. When you hold on to the belief that rejection is redirection, you walk away differently. You don't chase, you don't beg, you don't argue. You simply let her go with grace. That's powerful. That shows self-respect because the man who understands his worth knows he doesn't need to convince anyone to stay. He doesn't need to audition for love. His role is not to prove himself, it's to live authentically, confidently, and with purpose. And the right woman will naturally gravitate toward that energy. The beautiful thing about rejection is that it often pushes you back to yourself. It forces you to look inward, to reevaluate your standards, to sharpen your boundaries, and to reconnect with your goals. Sometimes losing her is what wakes you up to the fact that you were settling or maybe even ignoring red flags because you didn't want to be alone. Sometimes it makes you realize that the relationship was draining you more than it was fulfilling you. And either way, rejection is an invitation to grow, and growth always leads to better outcomes. You also need to understand that every no you face in life brings you closer to the yes that matters. Every time a woman chooses someone else, she's clearing the path for the woman who will choose only you. The one who won't hesitate, the one who won't second guess, the one who won't need to compare you to anyone else. That's the woman you're actually waiting for, but you can't meet her if you're still clinging to the one who walked away. You can't receive what's meant for you if your hands are still holding on to what isn't. So when she chooses another man, let her go, not with bitterness, not with anger, not with resentment, but with gratitude. Gratitude that she showed you the truth early instead of wasting more of your time. Gratitude that you get to redirect your energy toward becoming the best version of yourself. Gratitude that you now have the freedom to attract someone who truly aligns with your values, your vision, and your heart. Remember, the end of one story is always the beginning of another. And the story you're stepping into now has the potential to be far greater than the one you left behind. At the end of the day, rejection is never really rejection. It's protection, it's guidance, and it's preparation. So instead of seeing it as a loss, see it as a win. Because the moment you stop chasing what isn't yours, you create space for what truly is. That's why if she chooses another man, you let her go, because in reality, you just won. When a woman chooses someone else, most men immediately take it personally. They start questioning everything about themselves. Was I not good looking enough? Was I too boring? Did I not make enough money? Was I lacking in some way that made her see another man as a better choice? That's where the spiral begins. Doubting your own value because of someone else's decision. But here's the truth you need to understand deeply. Your worth has nothing to do with who she chooses. Your value isn't determined by whether one woman stays or leaves. Your value is something you were born with, and it's rooted in how you carry yourself, how you live your life, and how you respect yourself. When you allow someone else's choices to define how you see yourself, you hand them power they never should have had. That's why so many men lose themselves after rejection. They think her walking away means they weren't enough. But pause for a moment. If you truly weren't valuable, you wouldn't have even been in the picture to begin with. The fact that you were there shows you already have qualities worth noticing. Her choice doesn't erase that. It only means she followed her own path based on her perspective, her feelings, and her own story. And that story isn't about you, it's about her. One of the biggest mistakes men make is putting women on a pedestal as if her approval is the ultimate validation of their masculinity. That mindset is dangerous because it ties your identity to something you can't control, another person's emotions. People change their minds. People are influenced by circumstances. People get caught up in illusions. If your self-worth is built on her staying, then the moment she leaves, your foundation crumbles. That's why the only stable ground you can stand on is the ground you build for yourself. Your confidence has to come from within, not from whether she chooses you over someone else. Think about the most confident, grounded men you've ever seen. They don't beg for love. They don't panic when someone pulls away. They don't start comparing themselves to the next guy. Why? Because they know their value is constant. They know that their life has purpose, with or without that woman. They understand that they are the prize. Not because they need someone else to confirm it, but because they've built themselves into a man of substance, character, and strength. And when you truly live that way, rejection stops shaking you. Here's the irony. The more you believe in your own worth, the more attractive you become. Women are drawn to men who don't seek validation from them. Men who don't crumble when things don't go their way, men who don't get desperate when they feel left behind. When you hold on to your self-respect, you project strength, and strength is magnetic. It communicates that you are secure in yourself and that you won't tolerate being treated as a second choice. But let's get real. Sometimes rejection does hurt deeply. It's not that you're weak, it's that you invested emotionally and hoped for a future that didn't happen. That sting is human. The difference lies in how you respond to it. Do you let it define you, or do you use it as a reminder of what's true? That your value doesn't change just because someone failed to see it. When you remind yourself of that truth, you take your power back. You shift from why wasn't I enough to she wasn't the right one to recognize what I bring. And that shift makes all the difference. Another thing to remember is that attraction isn't logical. People are drawn to others for reasons that don't always make sense. A woman might choose a man who treats her poorly, or a man who lacks qualities you already have. You could be more stable, more respectful, more loving, and she could still walk away. That doesn't make you less. It makes her choice about her, not about you. Her lens, her wounds, her desires, her blind spots all shape her decision. So don't carry her choice as evidence against yourself. It's not proof of your inadequacy. It's proof of her free will. If you anchor your identity in being chosen, you will always live in fear of being unchosen. That's why men become needy and insecure. They think they have to constantly perform to maintain someone's love. But real strength is knowing that even if she leaves, even if she chooses someone else, you'll be okay, because your value remains intact. You don't become less of a man because she walked away. You remain who you are, whole, capable, and enough. The moment you embrace that truth, you stop chasing. You stop begging. You stop fighting to convince her of what she doesn't see. Instead, you stand tall, let her go, and continue building your life. That's where real confidence shines, because the man who knows his worth isn't afraid of loss. He knows that what's meant for him will never pass him by. And here's the beauty in all of this. When you stop tying your value to someone else's decision, you create space for the right woman to come into your life. The kind of woman who won't hesitate, the kind of woman who won't compare, the kind of woman who will see your worth without needing to be convinced. That's the reward of standing firm in your value. It draws the right person to you while protecting you from the wrong ones. So remember this every time you face rejection. Her choice is not a measure of your value. It's simply a reflection of her path. Your job is not to question your worth, but to continue walking in it. Your job is to keep living, keep growing, and keep believing in yourself, regardless of who stays or goes. Because the man who knows his value never loses. He only gets redirected towards someone better suited for him. That's why when she chooses another man, you hold your head high, because her choice doesn't lower your worth. It only proves that you're strong enough to walk away with it still intact. And there's a certain kind of strength that comes when you can let go without resistance. Most people think strength is about holding on, fighting harder, proving yourself, or refusing to walk away. But real power lies in the ability to detach, to accept what is, and to keep moving forward without losing your balance. When a woman decides to leave or chooses someone else, it's natural to feel the urge to hold on tighter, to try to change her mind, or to show her why she made the wrong choice. But that reaction comes from fear of loss, fear of being alone, fear of not finding someone else. The problem with that fear is that it takes you out of your natural center. It pushes you into chasing, begging, and convincing, all things that destroy attraction and erode self-respect. When you practice non-attachment, you see the situation differently. You understand that love cannot be forced. If someone wants to go, you let them, not because you don't care, but because you respect yourself enough to know that you won't hold on to what doesn't belong to you. This isn't about being cold or indifferent. It's about having emotional discipline. It's about realizing that trying to hold on to someone who doesn't want to stay only creates more suffering. When you let go with grace, you show strength. You communicate that you are in control of yourself and that you're not desperate for anyone's presence to feel whole. Non-attachment doesn't mean you don't love deeply. It doesn't mean you don't value connection. It simply means you love without clinging. You'll allow someone to be free even if their freedom takes them away from you. And ironically, that very mindset is what keeps you in your masculine energy. Masculine energy is about direction, purpose, and stability. It's not about grasping or controlling. When you can stay grounded even when someone pulls away, you show that your emotional state isn't dependent on them. That's attractive and it's powerful. Think about how dignity plays into this. There's nothing dignified about chasing after someone who's already decided they don't want to be with you. And there's nothing empowering about lowering your standards just to keep someone around. True dignity is being able to say, if you want to go, go. I'm not going to stop you. I wish you well, but I won't compromise my self-respect just to hold on to you. That level of calm, detachment, shows not only confidence, but also emotional maturity. And here's the truth. The person who walks away from you was never yours to begin with. They were a chapter, not the whole story. By letting them go, you free yourself to turn the page and step into the next chapter without dragging unnecessary baggage along with you. Non-attachment makes this transition smoother. It allows you to keep your peace instead of losing yourself in the chaos of trying to control someone else's decisions. At the end of the day, non-attachment is the foundation of real strength in relationships. It protects your heart, preserves your dignity, and keeps you aligned with your highest self. When you can walk away calmly, you're not losing, you're winning, because you're showing that you don't chase what doesn't want to stay. That's why if she chooses another man, you let her go, because holding on to someone who doesn't want to be held only robs you of the peace you deserve. When you finally decide to let go of someone who chose another man, it might feel like you've lost. It may sting in the beginning, and your mind may replay all the moments you invested, all the emotions you poured in, and all the dreams you once held for the future. But if you look at it from a wider perspective, you'll realize you didn't lose at all. You actually won. You won because you chose yourself over someone who couldn't see your worth. You won because you protected your dignity and walked away with your self-respect intact. And that choice in the long run will put you in a position where you're stronger, wiser, and ready for the kind of love that won't make you question your value. The moment you stop chasing what isn't meant for you, you create space for better opportunities. That applies in love, in friendships, and in life. When someone walks out, they're making room for the right person to walk in. By holding on to a relationship that isn't working, you block the blessings that are trying to reach you. But by releasing what doesn't serve you, you open the door to something greater. That's why letting her go is actually a victory. It clears your path so you can attract a relationship built on mutual respect, loyalty, and love. And here's another reason why you win: you grow. Every painful ending forces you to look inward and reflect. You learn about your boundaries, about what you want and don't want in a partner, about how to strengthen your confidence, and about how to keep your standards high. Growth always comes after loss. If you choose to see it that way, then every rejection, every heartbreak, every disappointment simply becomes a stepping stone toward a better version of yourself. You evolve, you build emotional muscle, and eventually you realize that what you thought was a loss was actually preparation for something far better. Walking away also keeps your energy clean. When you hold on to bitterness, resentment, or jealousy, you poison yourself. But when you let go with grace, you protect your peace. That peace is priceless because it allows you to move forward with clarity and strength instead of being weighed down by anger or regret. And in that peace, you attract healthier relationships. You stop settling for being second best. And you naturally draw in the kind of woman who chooses you without hesitation. Think about how many men waste years chasing someone who has already chosen someone else. They invest their time, emotions, and energy in trying to prove themselves only to end up broken and drained. That's not winning, that's losing yourself. Winning is knowing your worth so deeply that you don't waste another second trying to convince someone of it. Winning is walking away with your head high, your heart open, and your focus sharp on building the life you want. And the best part is this: the more you stand firm in your value, the more life rewards you. You attract respect, you attract loyalty, and you attract love that feels easy because it's mutual. That's the real victory. Not holding on to someone who left, but making space for the right one who will never make you question your place in their life. That's why in the end, when she chooses another man and you let her go, you don't lose anything, you win everything.